Hello YouTube, my name is Isabella and today I'm going to be doing a review for Axiom's End by Lindsay Ellis. So let's get started. If all goes well, I should be posting this video on July 9th, which is exactly 2 weeks before the release of Axiom's End. This is an alternate history sci-fi first contact with aliens story, and I've been really anticipating this book for a while, been looking forward to it a lot, namely because I really like Lindsay Ellis, who's a video essayist here on YouTube, but that in no part will affect my rating, and I'm not going to be talking about her as the person I like, but just her as the author and whether or not I think she was successful in writing the book. I'd also like to thank Netgalley for providing me the e-arc, but of course that does not affect my opinion. My opinions are my own. And I think that's it, covering all the bases. So let me tell you what it's about. So Axiom's End is set in 2007, where a couple have weird occurrences have happened that have been concerning the public, but nobody's really talking, nothing's really being said. And our main character, however, is determined to not pay attention to what's going on in the world because her father is an Edward Snowden-like character who's determined to expose the truth, to expose the US government, and she wants nothing to do with him. But of course, that's not how anything happens, and she ends up getting roped in to be the interpreter to an alien presence here on Earth, and she has a very difficult task to kind of broker a peace and broker understanding between an alien beings and the US government. Because this is set in somewhat contemporary times, I'm only briefly going to talk about world building. However, I think for the most part, Lindsay Ellis was successful in her world building. At the beginning, I think there was a lot of heavy-handed references to things happening in 2007, and the first 5-10% I was like, holy crap, calm down with the references. Please stop talking about Fergie. But for the most part, I really liked the intent as to why this was set in 2007 and all the implications of these massive world events, the most notable event being obviously the 2008 market crash. I don't want to talk too much about it because I don't want to get into spoilers, but I liked the aliens and how she built upon them, their culture, their history, and how their history has actually maybe somewhat affected our history. I thought that was really interesting and a really smart touch. The characters are definitely the best part of the story. To buy in and appreciate the story, you have to buy into our two main characters and their very interesting, compelling relationship. Our main human character, Cora, I did take a little bit of time to warm up to her. At the very beginning, you could tell this was a debut book because she felt like a vehicle for the story and not her own person with goals and all this kinds of stuff. But once we hit a turning point, you really start empathizing with her and her situation, and she becomes a very much a fully realized character. Our other character, Ampersand, the alien, he was simply fascinating. Him simply being an alien makes him really interesting, but his entire reasons for being on Earth and the difficult position he gets put in and the way that he kind of governs himself, all of these elements are so interesting and fascinating, and I always wanted to be reading more about him. I thought their relationship was so interesting because they have to work together even though on a level they are not the same, and the way they govern themselves, the way they express morality and ethics, it's not the same, and therefore there's some big hurdles to get over, but all of that stuff wrapped up into their relationship I think was by far the best part of this novel. With the notable exception of one character, and that being Cora's aunt, I think across the board our side characters are flat, but that doesn't really bother me because of what the story chooses itself to focus on. And I would have liked to see more of her father figure, to be honest, especially because of how hyped up and how it's discussed in the synopsis of the story, but I can imagine we'll probably have a lot more direct involvement in sequels. The plot definitely hinges on whether or not you believe in Cora and Ampersand's relationship. This is less of a bang bang shoot 'em up, the aliens are bad guys, we have to rise up with humanity to defeat the evil aliens. It's not like that at all. It's a very sort of quiet story contemplating morality and ethics and like the implications for all of this stuff, for being one of the first humans to deal with a first contact with another like sentient being. There's a lot of interesting themes and things explored through their relationship and then sort of echoed throughout what's happening in the background of the plot. And I really appreciated it. There was a lot to think on and chew on in this story, and I found myself actually thinking a lot about the book after I'd finished it, which I think is always a mark of a good story. For the writing, I would say it's very cinematic in overall feel. You definitely could see this become a movie, and I very much could picture this as a movie in my head, which made this story very easy to read. I thought the pacing for the most part was good. However, I do think at the beginning we were a little bit too like foot on the pedal, going a little too fast, but then it slows down and I think gets paced well. And I appreciated that most of the time this was really easy to follow. Sometimes with sci-fi and creatures, I find it really difficult to put together what's happening, but this time for the most part I was able to picture and grasp what was going on and not be like entirely confused. That's also because I'm just an idiot when it comes to sci-fi and creatures and all that kind of stuff. So overall, I really did have a good time with this story. I think it's unique and interesting, and if you're interested, pick it up. It comes out July 21st. Thanks again to Netgalley for providing me the ARC. I really appreciate it, and yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye!